Yeah, he sent me a message.
Good evening, everybody. Call this meeting to order. It's Monday, May 3rd, 7 p.m. Actually, 7:01 because we were dealing with some technical issues up here. Councilman Lindley is joining us remotely via phone this evening. Had some travel issues getting back, but glad he could join us. We have with us tonight Reverend Brian Sheridan with St. Thomas the Apostle Catholic Church, 4300 King Springs Road. Invite you up, Pastor, now for the invocation and pledge. Everybody, please rise.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the joining of this meeting this evening of our mayor and council and our citizens. We ask, Lord, that you be with us, that you guide us, Lord, to make wonderful decisions for this city that is growing and prospering. And of course, in all these things, we ask these in Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2 is agenda changes. We have none. Item 3 is the mayoral report. And this is perfect timing to announce that it's International Municipal Clerks Week. Thank you for all that y'all do, including pinch hitting for prayers. Thank y'all very much. I've got a couple announcements, and then I'll turn it over to Councilman Welch for a proclamation. I want to recognize the Campbell High School baseball team. They won their region, and even though they fell just a little short in the state tournament, they lost by 1 run in the 3rd game of the series. They had a really, really good year, and we're going to invite them here to be recognized at a future council meeting. Great team this year. Also, the Campbell High School girls tennis won the region, and the boys soccer team at Campbell won their region. And also Thursday at 8 p.m. at Campbell, they are still in the state tournament in the quarterfinals, and they're hosting. So 8 o'clock, please come out and support the team at Campbell. Here's an update on vaccines. We're going to continue offering the Pfizer vaccine at the Smyrna Community Center large gym every Friday from 1 to 4. You don't have to have an appointment. If you're getting your first shot, you can schedule your second shot and come back to the community center and get it. If you've had your first shot somewhere else, you can still get your second shot at the community center. And our firefighters and EMS folks are administering those. We have also been taking these out to the community. We were a few weeks ago at Rose Garden at Greater Zion Hill Church. Last Tuesday, we were on South Cobb Drive at the Pentecostal Church of Jesus Christ Salvation Rock. And tomorrow from 2 to 4, we're going to be at Life Church at 4100 King Springs Road offering vaccine. No appointment necessary. All you have to do is bring your photo ID. No charge to any of that. So encourage anybody who would like to get a vaccine to come out and get one. We have a lot of exciting projects coming up. At our last council meeting, the city council approved traffic calming measures across the city. That's anything from stop signs to speed humps. We get all kinds of comments from residents about people speeding through their neighborhoods, and we're trying to address that citywide. So you'll see some activity there. And we also approved expanding the stands at Lattanzi Field where the baseball team plays. We're going to, hopefully by next season, have capacity go from 150 to 650. So we can host regional tournaments and really highlight the gem of a field that really is in our state. We have a lot of upcoming SPLOST projects that we're going to start construction on. relatively soon. They include, this is what was approved in November, they include a splash pad, which will likely go down at Riverview Landing by the river. We've got design work beginning on South Cobb Drive, overhaul between Concord Road and Windy Hill. What it looks like in a concept is local access lanes, medians, a light at Bank Street, and a lot of trails and aesthetic improvement. So a lot of attention being put there. A downtown refresh / redesign is being designed right now, mainly over in front of the library where the fountain is, trying to open that up a little bit. Add features like they have at the Battery, where like a splash feature where the water shoots out of the ground for the kids. And the council will be talking about in the next few weeks what that might look like. A parking deck down here, which is sorely needed, and it was approved in the SPLOST. Probably going to go between the community center and the police station. And then I'm really excited to announce that we are going to be doing an aquatics facility. We're purchasing the land in between the Reed House and the bank on Atlanta Road, and we're going to be putting an aquatics facility there. Don't think competition swimming, think more lazy river, different pools, slides, and that type of thing, public spaces, pavilions, those types of things. So we're excited about that and looking forward to the design and bringing that forward for you all to see. With that, I will turn it over to Corky Welch for item A, which is proclamation in recognition of Memorial Day poppy distribution, May 15th, 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 31st, 2021. We have Robin Lineker here, Maryline Blackburn, June Burgess, and Cindy Monk. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Mr. Welch.
Thank you. If y'all would like to step up, I'll read it here and bring it down after I finish the reading. A proclamation by the mayor of the city of Smyrna in recognition of Memorial Day poppy distribution, May 2021. Whereas America is the land of freedom, preserved and protected willingly and freely by citizens, soldiers, and whereas millions who have answered the call of arms have died on the field of battle, and whereas a nation at peace must be reminded of the price of war and the debt owed to those who have died in war, and whereas the red poppy has been designated as a symbol of sacrifice of lives in all wars, and whereas the American Legion Auxiliary has pledged to remind America annually of this debt through the distribution of the memorial flower. Now, therefore, I, Derek Norton, Mayor of the City of Smyrna, Georgia, do hereby proclaim during the month of May in 2021, the 15th, 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 31st as Memorial Poppy Day distribution days, and ask that all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my seal, my hand, and cause the seal of the city of Smyrna to be affixed upon this the 3rd day of May in the year of our Lord 2021. Mayor Derek Norton.
Everybody get your dollars out. Jenny Ruth, it doesn't have to be 100. You can
Say something. Wait, if you'll go around, we'll buy.
My name is June Burgess, and as the mayor said, we're with the American Legion Post 160 Auxiliary. This is Maryline Blackburn and Cindy Monk. And each year in May and November, we distribute poppies to raise money for the veterans. And every penny we take in for poppies goes directly to a veteran, to the VA hospital, to the Veterans Memorial, different veterans associations, the Fishing for Freedom, and veterans that need help, you know, like the homeless veterans that come into the post or the people that we hear about. So we use the poppy money for that purpose. Marylyn's going to read a poem here. Did you?
right. Well, actually, I'm not going to read the poem, but I'm just going to say that the red poppy flower is the official memorial flower of the American Legion family. It is in remembrance of the sacrifices made by our military for our freedoms. So we thank you all for taking the time and also making sure that this is recognized. And yes, get your dollars, $5, 20s out. We'll take 100. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for all y'all do. And I know I mentioned it last meeting, but the Jay Wallace and Adventure Outdoors gave a $10,000 contribution to the Legion Post here in Smyrna to retire all their debt. So all the money that comes in now goes out to support veterans in our community. So pretty awesome stuff. While they're going around, we'll go ahead and continue. Item 4 is land issues, zonings, and annexations. We have several items here, I think A through H, which are variances. We have moved variances from the License and Variance Board to City Council meetings. So I will ask anyone who wants to speak for or against any of these or just thinks you might want to come. They're all public hearings. Come up now and get sworn in by our City Attorney, Scott Cochran, please. Nobody? Okay. Item A, 2021-168, name change request for the apartment complex located at 5000 South Lincoln Trace Avenue to Edison at the Battery. Mr. Bennett, any background?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's been an ownership change of the apartment complex located at 5000 South Lincoln Trace Avenue, and a name change has been requested. The requested name change would be from Ashford 75 LLC, doing business as Ashford 75 Apartments, to Windy Ridge Multifamily Partners LLC, doing business as Edison at the Battery. The name change has been approved by the fire marshal, building inspector, city engineer, 911 communications, water department, city marshal, and business license officer. Staff approves.
This is in Ward 1. Mr. Pickens.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just make a motion to approve 4A 2021-168.
Second.
Have a motion and a second by Mr. Welsh. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Aye.
That's going to be fun tonight. It's approved 7-0. Thank you. Item B, 2021-116. It's a public hearing. B21-026, increase maximum impervious surface area from 45% to 48.8%. Land lot 593, 1607 Walker Street, Brian and Lauren Berry. Mr. Bennett, any background?
Yes, sir. This is the first of the 7 variances on the agenda. And this applicant is requesting to deviate from the development standards established by the city to increase impervious surface from 45% to 48.8%.
Rusty, you need to do anything on this?
Real quick, the applicant is proposing to install a pool. The impervious surface area of the pool is increasing the total impervious surface area for the lot. They have an existing detention facility. They'll be taking that detention facility and moving it back on the property and sizing it appropriately for the increase in impervious surface area. Staff is recommending approval with 3 stipulations. Number 1, that it be that approval is conditioned upon substantial compliance of the site plan submitted. Number 2, we have some stormwater management requirements that we've provided to them that need to be done prior to permitting. And number 3, they need to revise the plat to show where the new location of the detention facility is, and that's it. we're recommending approval.
Any questions of Rusty? All right, this is in Ward 3. Mr. Lindley?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion do pass as previously presented.
Have a motion to pass. Do I have a second? You know what? We got to do the, is there anybody, this is a public hearing. Anybody who want to speak for or against this item, please come forward now.
Good day. I'm Brian Berry, and I'm the owner of the house. If you would like anything from me, I don't know if it is appropriate for me to answer any questions from the board, but thank you for hearing the variance request.
Do they have any questions of the owner? I think you're off the hook.
All right, thank you.
All right. Now we have a motion by Mr. Lindley and a second by Dr. Wheaton. All those in favor, please vote. He made the motion. He's voted in favor. Approved 7-0. Thank you. Button not working, Mr. Gould? No. All right. Item C, 2021-169, public hearing V21-038. Allow new construction on lot of record below minimum lot size requirements, land lot 560, 2740 Morris Circle, Brookhaven Home Designs. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
Yes, sir. The applicant is requesting to build a new single-family home at the address mentioned on a substandard lot. Section 1208 requires a variance to build on a lot of record below minimum lot size requirements, and staff recommends approval.
To invite Rusty up.
This is a real simple request. This is an existing lot of record. It's approximately 10,000 square feet in size. The R15 zoning category requires a minimum 15,000 square feet. The existing house was torn down. They're proposing to build a new house that meets R15 standards for setback and impervious surface area. We're recommending approval with the site plan submitted.
Any questions of Rusty or any discussion? All right, this is in Ward 3. Mr. Lindley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve as previously read and reported.
Oh, I'm going to get this yet. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this? Please come forward. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We have a motion do pass from Mr. Lindley. Do I have a second? Dr. Wheaton is seconded. All those in favor, please vote. It's approved 7-0. Thank you. Item 4D, 2021-171, public hearing V21-039, reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet for a carport and reduce the driveway setback from 5 feet to 3 feet, land lot 452, 3212 Ridgecrest Road, Maria Swanson. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
Yes, sir. The applicant is requesting the variance to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet to replace an existing non-conforming driveway and carport. The existing driveway and carport are currently non-conforming at 3 feet from the property line. Staff recommends approval.
Invite Rusty up.
Yes, this is an existing house with an existing metal carport. The applicant is doing a complete renovation of the house. They're proposing to take out the existing driveway and the metal carport and replace it with a new carport in the same exact spot and the driveway in the same exact spot. But the carport will be built into the roof line of the house and everything else. In addition, they're removing some other driveway sections that are behind the carport to improve the impervious surface area coverage on the site. We're recommending approval with the condition that it be built according to the site plan and elevation submitted.
Any questions for Rusty or any comment? All right, seeing none, this is also in Ward 3. Mr. Lindley. Oh, gosh.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
It's a public hearing. Again, not my day. Is there anybody who'd like to speak for or against this item? Please come forward now. Close the public hearing. Mr. Lindley.
Motion do pass as previously read and reported.
Have a second by Dr. Wheaton. All those in favor, please vote. approved 7-0. Item 4E, 2021-172, public hearing, V21-040, reduce the rear setback from 35 feet to 25 feet for a building addition, land lot 554, 3766 Ashwood Drive, Stan and Laura Thompson. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from 35 feet to 25 feet to build a three-car garage and a second-floor storage area on an existing home with a non-conforming rear setback. Staff is recommending approval.
Rusty, come on up.
The applicant is proposing to build a 1,900 square foot, two-story addition onto the home, which is going to be a three-car garage with some storage area above. The existing house is set back approximately 25 feet from the rear property line. The R15 zoning standard requires a 30-foot rear setback. This building addition is going to be at the same, basically setback from the rear property line as the existing house. Staff is recommending approval of the request with the condition that it's built, it's conditioned in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted.
Questions or comments for Rusty? This is a public hearing. Anybody who'd like to come forward to speak for or against, come on up.
We are the homeowners, and we just, to build the garage, it's, okay, so, it's okay. To build the garage, if we were to use the setbacks that are in place now at 35 feet, it would make the house not be the main feature. It would make the garage be the main feature. And we want to blend it with the current house. And our house was built before the setbacks were ever in place in 72. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anybody else have any comments for or against? All right, we'll close the public hearing. This is in Ward 6. Mr. Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve item 4E as previously read.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Wheaton. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Aye.
It's approved 7-0. 4F, 2021-173, public hearing V21-041, reduced side setback from 10 feet to 7 feet for a detached garage, land lot 408, 3945 Green Forest Lane, Howardale, and Virginia B. Williams. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
My mic on that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The applicant is requesting two variances at the mentioned address to build a new detached two-car garage. The variance requests are to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 7 feet and allow an additional accessory structure. The regulations pertaining to accessory structures and uses are located in Section 501 of the zoning ordinance. Section 801 requires a side setback of 10 feet for lots zoned R15. Staff recommends approval.
Rusty?
Yes, sir.
Probably good that you just stay up there, huh?
Yeah. The request is to build a detached garage on the property. They currently do not have a garage for the property. And the location of the garage is at the end of the existing driveway, which would put it 3 feet into the side setback. So they need a side setback reduction from 10 to 7 feet. In addition, our zoning ordinance only allows for one accessory structure on the property. Since this is a detached garage, they're going to need a variance to allow for a second one since they have an existing tool shed in the rear yard. But that is planned to remain as well. So we're recommending approval with the same stipulation that we've applied to everything else, that it be built according to the plan submitted.
Comments or questions for Rusty? This is a public hearing. Anybody out there want to come say anything for or against this?
Might as well say my piece. We just really want to be able to drive right into the driveway. If we put it 10 feet over, we'd have to turn left and then turn left. And we're not getting any younger, you know. So if you see my wife drive, I don't want to tear the garage out, you know. So we need to be straight in. That's all we want. Okay?
All right. Before we take this vote, Heather, we had, Travis is saying that he got hung up on, so we're going to need to ring him back. Eight 886. All right, this is in Ward 4. Mr. Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve item 4F as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Dr. Wheaton, second. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Aye.
It's approved 7-0. Have a nice dinner, y'all. Item G, 2021-174, public hearing B21-042, allow second accessory structure, land lot 408, 3945 Green Forest Lane, Howard Dale, and Virginia B. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the second of the variances for the 3945 Green Forest Lane, as Rusty explained, and staff recommends approval.
Public hearing. Anybody want to come forward against this? All right, we'll close the public hearing. This is also in Ward 4. Mr. Welch.
I make a motion to approve item 4G 2021-174 as presented.
Motion seconded by Mr. Pickens. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Aye.
It's approved 7-0. Now have a nice dinner. Item H, 2021-175, public hearing V21-043, reduce street side setback from 23.3 feet to 11 feet for a pool, land lot 519, 1210 Pierce Avenue, Cary, Kennedy, Morgan. Mr. Bennett, background, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, the applicant is seeking a variance to reduce his street side setback from 23.3 feet to 11 feet to allow for the construction of a new swimming pool, and staff recommends approval.
Rusty?
Yeah, they're proposing the construction of a pool in the rear yard. The configuration of the lot is pretty much a triangle on the corner, and so it's wider at the front and it tapers down to basically a triangle at the rear. So any construction of a pool or addition is going to need a variance due to the geometry of the site. We're recommending approval with the condition that, you know, it be built in substantial conformity to what they submitted.
Questions or comments for Rusty? All right, this is our last variance public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak for or against, please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
It's Cary Kennedy Morgan, 1210 Pierce Avenue. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions of the applicant? Seeing none. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
This is in Mr. Lindley's ward. Mr. Lindley.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion do pass as previously presented.
Have a motion do pass. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Welch. All those in favor, please vote. Approved 7-0. Thank you. Item I, 2020-233, public hearing, zoning request Z20-006, rezoning from NS and RM10 conditional for the development of 8 single-family detached homes at a density of 7.4 units per acre, 1.08 acres, land lot 669, 3302 Atlanta Road, Edgeline LLC. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
Thank you. Again, Edgeline LLC is requesting the rezoning of the subject property on the south side of Atlanta Road from NS to RM10 conditional for the development of 8 single-family detached units at a density of 7.4 units per acre. The application previously proposed 10 townhome units. However, after continued discussion with the city, the development has been reduced to 8 single-family detached units. The planning board recommended approval by a vote of 6-0 at the August 10th, 2020 meeting. Community Development recommends approval of the rezoning.
Rusty.
All right. This one's going to take a little bit longer than the variances, but I'll try to go through it quickly. Joe summed it up pretty well. The existing property is 3302 Atlanta Road. It's just over an acre in size. It's zoned neighborhood shopping. The applicant is proposing to rezone to RM10 conditional. They're proposing to build 8 detached single-family residents at a density of 7.4 units per acre. As you can see, the adjoining property to the north is Villa Courts. It's zone RM12, and then the properties to the south and west is Vintage Square, and I believe that's RTD. And the property across the street is Campbell Middle, and it's zoned R15. The city's future land use map has the property classified as medium high density residential, which is up to 10 units per acre. So with this request, there's no proposed change in the city's future land use map. The proposed design meets the land use requirements for the 2040 future land use map. And if you look to the north, the south, and west, it's all medium high density residential, and then Campbell Middle is public institutional. This proposed site plan got Atlanta Road on the right hand side, and the RM10 zoning district setbacks are for this development, and they're requesting a couple variances with this. There's a front setback of 30, a side setback of 12, and a rear setback of 40. They're going to have a right in, right out on Atlanta Road, and then a 26-foot access drive through the development, and then a driveway connection for emergency vehicles to Villa Court. There'll be a gate at that back entrance, and it'll be operated through a siren system from the emergency vehicle. There's a vehicle turnaround for delivery trucks or anybody that pulls down to the end of the street and needs to turn around and get back. And then the stormwater detention pond is located down there as well. Guest parking, there's 5 spaces up at the front, and then there's some individual spaces in between the homes as you go down the street. With this request, there's 3 variances. The first is reduce the front setback from 75 feet down to 30. Staff is supportive of this. The 30-foot setback sort of brings it in line with the existing townhomes and the existing townhomes at Vintage Square and the existing building in Villa Court, and you can see how it lines up. Number 2, allow a reduction in the side setback from 35 feet to 12 feet. That's the same setback for both Villa Courts and in Vintage Square. So it's in line with 2 properties around it. And number 3, allow an increase in impervious surface coverage from 35% to 65%, and staff supports that as well. These are the architecture. This is what the proposed architecture is going to look like for the detached homes. These will be the features you see, and they may not be exactly like this, but this is the character that they're proposing. This is the existing property, and then pictures of the surrounding properties to give you context. Community development is recommending approval from neighborhood shopping to RM10 at 8 units at a density of 7.4 units per acre with the following conditions from section 1201. Number 1 deals with the composition of the homes. Number 2 requires an HOA be created. Number 3 requires a minimum area for common space in the development. Number 4 requires the detention pond to be placed and screened, and then certain stormwater requirements. Number 5 requires all utilities to be underground. Number 6 requires the developer to be responsible for any traffic improvements deemed necessary by the city engineer during plan review. Number 7 requires brick pavers or stamped concrete at the entrance of the subdivision. Number 8 requires the development of the street in accordance to city standards. Number 9 prohibits the burying of debris on site. 10 requires street lights within the development. 11 requires the developer to follow the city's tree ordinance. Number 12 requires the landscape plans to be done by a landscape architect. And 13 requires all yards, common areas to be sodded and landscaped. 14 is the minimum setbacks for the development. Okay. 15 requires that the homes have a minimum floor area of 2,000 square feet. 16 requires the private drive to be a minimum width is 26 feet. 17 allows the rear of the property to have the emergency gate at the end into Villas Court. 18 prohibits the front of the neighborhood from being gated because it's not designed to be gated. 19 requires the developer to show that the turning radiuses work for non-emergency commercial vehicles. 20 requires that all the units have four-sided architecture. 21, the developer shall be responsible for water and sanitary sewer improvements. 22, the developer shall be responsible for fire access improvements. And 23, the developer should provide a right-in, right-out access at Atlanta Road. And 24, the stormwater management facility needs to be on HOA property. And 25, any trees that are not protected during the grading of the site need to be removed. And finally, 26 is the site needs to be developed in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted. And 27 ties the approval to the elevation submitted. And 28 is an additional list of stipulations from the developer, the applicant and developer themselves. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Any questions, Rusty?
Couple. Thanks, Rusty. Appreciate all the work that you did, and I know this one's been going around for more than a minute, right? So
yeah, a year and a half, I think.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a minute. So, hey, could you just highlight a couple of questions? The turnaround, I know it'll get designed, but could you just talk about what kind of trucks will be able to turn around in there effectively, and how are we going to ensure that it's designed correctly?
Based on their schematic and their detail, the turning model was done with the 23-foot box truck, which would be a standard delivery truck.
So they'll go up, they'll likely back into the
back
spot.
in and then pull out. Before we get to the issuance of a permit, they'll have to provide the turning models for the truck to make sure it works, and then we'll adjust the turnaround spot accordingly to make sure that it's not in conflict with street lights or the driveway or the house beside it, that the turning radiuses work, that the truck stays on the pavement all the way through those turning movements.
Right, okay. The detention pond, since it's a little bit tight on available space, if you don't mind, I mean, is it imaginable that they'll be required to do an underground detention facility? Could you talk about
No,
how
I think
that
they're
would sort
planning
out?
on an above-ground detention facility, but for the rezoning process, we asked them to work out the numbers to make sure they're reserving enough space to, adequately adequately detain the water that we need. If it gets approved and it goes to permitting and plan review, they'll do a full hydrology study upstream and downstream, and they'll figure out how big that pond truly needs to be. So right now, it's a conservative guess as far as how big and how much land they need. Once they get to permitting, they'll truly size it down, and it'll fit according to what they need to do out there.
Okay. Thank you, Rusty. If anybody else has questions.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes. Okay, I'm looking at the site plan, and you, one of the stipulations, you said that they're required to put in sidewalks or improvements and traffic improvements. And so are there, I'm looking and I'm not sure where the sidewalks are within the development, or maybe I just don't understand.
They have the connection between they're going to put it in probably right in between lots 1 and 2 right there, right at the front of the neighborhood.
So
there's not enough room to have the sidewalk go all the way to the back, plus it dead ends into the gate. There's not traffic from Villas Court coming in, so the residents can, the 6 residents that are back there, they can walk along that private road until they get to those parking spaces, and then they can get on the sidewalk there and come out to Atlanta Road.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Rusty? I'd like to invite the applicant up.
Go forward.
Mr. Pickens, you have a question? Okay.
Sorry. Rusty, I know, I guess I just want to know why it's right in, right out only, and also, will any improvements be needed for the added U-turns on Atlanta Road within a school zone?
It is a right in, right out there, because when you're coming northbound, there's an existing small median in the middle of Atlanta Road, and there's not enough stacking distance between where this proposed entrances and that median to allow for a left-hand turn there.
Okay.
So that's the answer to number 1. Number 2 is, yes, you can already make U-turns at the spots that you would probably make them from this development. So there's no additional improvements needed at this point.
Okay. And where would you, if they're going north on Atlanta Road, where would they U-turn to get into the development? Would they go up to Creekwood?
They'd have to, go up to Creekwood, and then if they're making a right out of the subdivision, they'd have to go down to Campbell and make a U-turn. But they're on the side of traffic, so when they make those, if they've got to do it in the morning to go northbound, they would be making a U-turn, with traffic and going into the uncongested side of Atlanta Road at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, my name is not Garvis Sams. My name is Park Huff at the law firm of Sams, Larkin and Huff. And Garvis wishes he could be here. He is recovering from surgery. He broke his leg and is recovering from surgery from that. And in not ironic fashion, he told me tonight to break a leg. So here I am to hopefully not break a leg. As you noted, this case has been around for a long time. I think a lot of improvements have been made during that time. But I have not been involved from the beginning, so obviously, hopefully I've got all the details correct and can answer your questions, but your staff has done a tremendous job with their presentation, and their knowledge of the case is invaluable. But I also have my client, Eric McConaughey with Edgeline, is also here, and he can answer specific questions you have. As your staff noted, if I can get to how's it get up there?
What are you trying to do?
I was going to go back to the zoning.
The zoning map.
Yeah.
Can y'all also raise up the microphone just a little bit? It's a little hard to hear. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. As you know, this property is been owned by a family for a very long period of time. They raised their family in Smyrna, and they had properties on both sides of them developed. Property to the north is developed at 18 units per acre. Property to the south is developed at 12 units per acre. Their property is zoned commercially. It's obviously not a very good commercial tract, partly because of the right-in, right-out conditions that you note. And so they've looked at different development proposals. Initially, this came in as an attached townhome community, and working with your staff and some feedback from council, they revised it. But I will note the Planning Commission recommended approval at the 10. But even after that recommendation for approval, we'll continue to work with staff and the feedback from the council and the staff, and revised it down to 7.4 units per acre with 8 detached homes. So it is in compliance with your land use plan. It's in compliance. It's lower density than the 2 surrounding neighborhoods, and it's something that the property owners would expect to see. A couple of details about the site plan. Number one, that I really like is the fact that you've got 2 homes that have porches and their facades facing Atlanta Road. We will have this, your reference to the sidewalks. We'll, of course, have the sidewalks all along Atlanta Road, and those sidewalks connect into adjacent to those homes as depicted on this site plan. So I think that's really nice to be able to start the development with 2 nice homes facing Atlanta Road. Creates a streetscape. Y'all do such a good job with this type of development. And then transitioning back to what is really relatively low density residential for this area, with 6 additional homes going back. One's loaded, one-sided, plenty of guest parking. This is going to have a great amount of guest parking. I know that one of the hopes would be that we could connect through to the adjacent neighborhood and have that full access that they've got, but they control that, and so that's something that they agreed to allow the emergency access that we have here. One really important thing to point out about that emergency access is it benefits both properties. Their property right now doesn't have that second access that the fire department so much likes. So having that second access in the back not only benefits us, it benefits their existing development. So it's a great opportunity to be able to get that second access for that community also. So we have submitted, Garvis has submitted a letter dated April 21 with a lot of zoning conditions that have been hammered out with your professional staff. I'm not going to go through all the details of it, but I mean, your staff did a great job of going through the care and intentionality that we've got in this, including making sure that Amazon trucks can turn around, as Amazon trucks seem to be the biggest driver of traffic right now. But it is, in fact, something I'm glad someone caught and made sure that was dealt with in this plan. We will obviously have to comply with all the stormwater requirements. So we ask that you follow your Planning Commission recommendation, which unanimously recommended approval at the townhome development, and then the staff recommendation for approval for what we're proposing here today, adding on to that the letter of agreeable stipulations dated April 21. That was submitted by Mr. Sam. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have. My client is also here to answer any questions you have, and I very much appreciate your time, and I hope I've done a decent job pinch hitting for Mr. Sams, who's recovering. So thank you for your time.
I think you've got the time down by about half, probably.
Well, and I use smaller words, shorter words.
Any questions of the applicant?
I have a question, and I'm not sure if it would be the applicant or Rusty, but when we were talking about the Amazon trucks, I thought also about the Smyrna garbage truck, and I'm just wondering, will it be coming into the property and turning around also, or will they be required to bring all their rollaway Kirby's? Okay, how would that be handled? Thanks.
Trucks are going to come in. We've reviewed this. Frank has looked at the size of the trucks that were used in the turning model, and he thought that was sufficient for our garbage trucks.
Okay, thank you.
Rusty, while you're up there, the properties to the north and to the south of there, do they have right in, right out as well?
No, they're full access, but they're far enough away from that. It's really like a 10-foot median right there to prohibit people from driving up and down that middle lane.
Can they make a left-hand turn? Or is
Yes,
there a
both
true median?
neighborhoods can make a left-hand turn out of their neighborhoods.
Both of them can.
And you can make a left-hand turn from Atlanta Road into their neighborhoods too.
Any other questions of the applicant or?
Yes,
rest-
question, Mr. Huff. So just by the questions, you can tell, access is a critical issue, right? It's been something we talked a lot about through the whole process. And in and out is challenging. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to connect into the Villa Court neighborhood. Could you just highlight why that can't be done?
Yeah, I mean, it's a condominium community. It's controlled by their association, and they can't get everyone to agree to allow that access through there. And so you're left with a situation where we can improve the fire safety for both us and them by having the connection with the gated for that emergency access, but we're limited to right in, right out. That is, I think, one of the reasons why limiting the density to what we proposed is one of the reasons why I think the staff was pushing back on us to reduce the density to this, and quite frankly, as compared to the current zoning of NS, and the number of trips is going to be less, and buyers know. I mean, this is one thing that a buyer knows when they buy this what they're buying into, because the median's there. Some of the things you get concerned about is when you add a median and buyers don't understand, that they're going to have a change in their traffic pattern. And, I mean, people learn their different routes and take a different route. And we're only talking 8 homes, so they will know what they're buying into. They will know that their routes have to account for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know, it sounds like you worked hard with property owners, and pushed, and I appreciate y'all trying to make that,
Yes, we did, very much so.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one quick question as well. Your lot there is kind of, sandwiched between Ashley and Villa Court there. This proposed development, are you going to have any barrier there, tree line, putting a wall there? What's going to?
Yeah, we will have some plantings that will create separation. It'll be determined by our homeowners what kind of separations need. I quite frankly don't know what they have, but we'll be working with whatever they have in terms of separation. But, really actually on both sides, where the back of the Villa community, their building kind of backs up to us. And on the other side, there's a road, and then their home's on the other side. So there's kind of a natural separation how it's laid out. I think that's probably intentionally why they put the road on the north side and the homes on the south side, because it creates a separation naturally. Good question. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. This is a public hearing. I'd invite anybody who wants to speak for or against this item to come up and be sworn in and make your comments.
My name's CJ Wilkes, 3279 Iceland Way. I think everybody up here expressed their concern on the right in, right out. I think that's really why I'm standing up here. Right in, right out is, to me, doesn't seem like the best option. It seems like it would make more sense to go ahead and just take the median out of the road now that we're changing the use of what's in front of the median on the road. Obviously, I don't have to pay for that. Well, I guess I would. Technically, I would be paying for that, but I'm a little sensitive right now to accidents and people crashing and dying. I've had a couple friends die in car accidents recently, and it only takes one U-turn, right, for something like that to happen. And I think it's just a dangerous area to commit to. Sure, it's only 8 homes. It's that's not a ton of people. But I think that we've all seen the right in, right out. Someone's always taking a left out of those. That's always happening, right? Because it's just more convenient to do that if there's not a police officer sitting right there watching you. So that's pretty common. I think the next thing is that people are going to come out of their neighborhood, take the next right into the neighborhood next door, and do the U-turn in their neighborhood. That's probably what I would do. Or if they don't do that, they're going to do it in the perhaps in the real estate office, turn around there. The U-turn there at Campbell to me is not a great option. If I were the one driving, that's what I would be doing. So I'd be adding congestion to the neighborhoods beside me. Anyway, for me, I would say for the folks that spoke out about the right in, right out, there were several, hold on to that in your vote and perhaps get that changed or, make the changes necessary there in the road to meet what's getting ready to be built. Thank you.
Sorry to hear about your friends, and thank you for your comments. Appreciate you coming forward.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak for or against this? All right, we'll close the public hearing. This is in Ward 6, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank staff, of course. Rusty and his staff worked real hard on this, and then the applicant, Eric McConaughey, and his team from Edgeline really did a lot of creative work to come up back with plans that would try to meet our requests and goals of having a less dense piece of property, more parking, and address traffic as best we could. So I really appreciate your efforts, and I know it's a lot of time and expense on your side. So I hear the comments about the right in, right out. It's a big concern of mine. It's something that's been a focus of that whole entire area. This is a tough one. I think that property is best zoned probably as residential, and 8 units seems to be a reasonable number for that. It's better than 10 in my mind. Reduces the impact, reduces the traffic in and out, and allows for more flexibility on the property for turnarounds and whatnot. So not the ideal thing in my mind by any means, but with that, I think it's a benefit for the city. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve item 4I 2020-233 as previously read.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Wagner. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
No.
And that's approved 5-2 with Mr. Pickens and Mr. Lindley voting in the negative. All right, item 5 is privilege licenses. We have none. Item 6 is formal business. 6A, ordinance 2021-07, approval of ordinance 2021-07 to amend section 50-8, add section 58.1, special use permit for consumer fireworks, and amend section 46, noise ordinance, in order to better regulate consumer fireworks to the extent allowed by state law and authorize the mayor to sign and execute all related documents. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, the Georgia legislature amended state laws to give local governments more authority over consumer fireworks in certain circumstances. In an effort to take advantage of this state law, the city is amending its applicable ordinances. Under this state law, local governments have little authority to regulate fireworks on the last Saturday and Sunday in May, July 3rd and 4th, the first Monday in September, and December 31st between 10 a.m. and midnight, and January 1st from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m. At other times, however, the local government may require the fireworks to comply with its noise ordinance. This ordinance changes the time that fireworks are allowed so that it follows state law and allows the city to regulate fireworks as much as the state law allows. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2021-07 to amend section 50-8, add section 58.1, special use permit for consumer fireworks, and amend section 46, noise ordinance, in order to better regulate consumer fireworks to the extent allowed by state law and authorize the mayor to sign and execute all related documents.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a issue that we hear a lot about, and happy that we're able to make some changes here. So that, Mr. Mayor, move to approve as previously read.
Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion seconded by Dr. Wheaton. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Yes.
It's approved 7-0. Item 6B, 2021-179, Approve Resolution 2021-02, authorizing the city to enter into a sale agreement and a bond purchase agreement incident to the Downtown Smyrna Development Authority's issuance of bonds in amount not to exceed $29 million, with the proceeds to be used to design and construct certain projects within the 2022 SPLOST project list and fund other road and infrastructure projects, and authorize the mayor to sign and execute all related documents. Mr. Bennett, the background, please.
Yes, sir. Again, this item is to approve the resolution 2021-02, authorizing the city enter into a sale agreement and a bond purchase in an amount not to exceed $29 million, with the proceeds to be used to design and construct certain projects within the 2022 SPLOST project list and fund other road and infrastructure projects, and authorize the mayor to sign and execute all related documents.
And these projects are a lot of the ones that I mentioned in my mayoral report. It's the splash pad, it's the parking deck, it's the aquatics facility. These things that were approved in the 22 SPLOST in November. This will enable us to get started on those and not have to wait until 2022 to begin those projects. I'm going to turn this over to our budget chairman, Mr. Corky Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With that, I'll make a motion to approve item 6B, 2021-179.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Pickens. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Aye.
That's approves 6-1 with Ms. Wilkinson voting in the negative. Item 7 is commercial building permits. We have none. Item 8 is the consent agenda. Mr. Bennett, can you please read the consent agenda for council approval?
Yes, sir. Item A, MIN 2021-27, approval of the April 19th, 2021 pre-council meeting minutes. Item B, MIN 2021-28, approval of the April 19th, 2021 mayor and council meeting minutes. Item C, 2021-154, approval to use the cooperative procurement contract from the city of Alpharetta for pipe rehabilitation services and award to Utility Asset Management Incorporated, 86 Peaches Drive, Reynolds, Georgia 31076, using City of Alpharetta contract number 16-111C, and authorize the mayor to sign and execute all related documents. Item D, 2021-178, approval of property liability insurance annual renewal with Georgia Local Government Risk Management Agency for $632,489, and approval to bind excess $1 million cyber liability coverage with Crum and Forrester for $14,800, and authorize mayor to execute related documents. And item E, 2021-184, approval of 2021 City of Smyrna community events and corresponding street closings from May 2021 through December 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Welch. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Lindley?
Aye.
It's approved 7-0. Just so everybody knows, Mr. Lindley he's on a vacation and tried to fly back for this meeting, and then he was going to fly back to where he is, but the weather got him, so he's having to join us by phone tonight. Item 9 is award of committee reports. Start tonight with Mr. Pickens.
Thanks, Mayor. No report this evening.
Mr. Wagner. Mr. Lindley.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. A huge thanks to our city staff, Dat and Heather, for accommodating the travel gods winning one on me tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to encourage everybody to get out and get your COVID shot if it's something that you choose to do. They're available at this point. That's not an excuse. If you choose to get the shot, they're out there. The city has done in my opinion, the fire department and everybody there has done a great job of making them available to the citizens of Smyrna, and not only the citizens of Smyrna, but people outside of the city. So if it's something that you're looking to do, come to the city and we'll help you out.
I tell everybody, Laura and I got the shot and didn't have hardly any side effects, and I've never been so excited to get a shot. Ms. Wilkinson.
No report tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Gould.
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor. Campbell High School Junior ROTC had a cleanup at the high school last weekend. They had 60 cadets out there. Lieutenant Colonel Halsey does a great job of leading those group of young folks, and they really did an amazing job from beginning to end in 3 hours. It really transformed a good part of the school. So, but that doesn't happen by themselves. There was an assistant principal, Ms. Samuels organized it, Pastor Jeff Pennington and Pastor Jeff Hodges from First Baptist were there helping. The Straw Farm, which is a local business, gave some discounted pine straw for a Campbell High School parent. KSP kicked in with some gloves and different things, so appreciate Julie making that happen. And so there'll be a lot more, but that's how we get that school looking great. Just a lot of community involvement. So pay attention to the next one. We'll get more work to do. Thank you.
Dr. Wheaton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just to echo really Mr. Welch's good comments there. Want to encourage everyone to go out and get the vaccine as well. Tomorrow down at Life Church, you're pretty familiar with that in Ward 7. That's where you normally vote at. But as well, we'll have another location down in Vinings Estates. That's a really adequately sized clubhouse back there for May 11th. So look forward to seeing everyone really come out in the community and take care of that. The quicker we can do it, the quicker we can all fully get back to normal and all that good stuff. And with that, I'll yield.
Mr. Bennett, anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Cochran? Ms. Penny? Ms. Heather? Ms. Tina?
Just a quick thank you for recognition of Municipal Clerks Week. Deputy Clerk Tina and I, Monahan and I are very excited and honored to serve this mayor and council as well as the citizens of the city of Smyrna.
Y'all do a great job doing it. Thank you so much. Item 10 is show cause hearings. We have none. Item 11 is citizen input. We have one person signed up, Ms. Angela McReynolds, 5204 Afton Way. Please come forward. My former neighbor.
Good evening. My name is Angela McReynolds, and I reside at 5204 Afton Way. First and foremost, I wish to thank the council for allowing me to speak on this issue. I'm petitioning to have a no parking sign placed directly across from my residence in our Afton Downs subdivision. Constantly, there's multiple cars, trucks, and SUVs parked on the street, making it very difficult to maneuver the roadway and to even park or exit our property parking pads. Blind corners and curves have been created due to the excessive parking. I must also stress that emergency vehicles, i.e. police, fire trucks, EMTs, cannot get through, thus far jeopardizing the lives of the people and homes in our neighborhood. I've shared video and pictures of this ordeal, as well as my signed petition from residents to Mr. Kevin Moore. I have previously worked with the city to get a non-working street light repaired, which made our street feel much more safe. I truly appreciate the council's approval on this new matter to give us comfort and security. I feel that we need to spend less time on Instagram, Facebook, and scams, and grow our neighborhoods into better Smyrna communities. Let's make our city into a proud place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Have you talked to your Councilman Pickens about this? Y'all get together after this? And
That's Kevin Moore, the city engineer.
Okay, we're gonna get Mr. Pickens involved and get this solved for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anybody else who has anything that they want to say before council? All right. If there's nothing else to be brought before this body, we are adjourned at 8:09.